Something was definitely triggered in me when Olivia said the theme would be metal. I've always been interested in just microorganisms, and when you see pictures of amoebae, they kind of look like metal on this slimy fluid form. And I think that was what turned me on basically for this composition process. I have a quite classical background, but in the recent years I've been digging deeper into different genres of music, both through improvisation but also through composition. Initially I played the violin as a kid for quite some years, but then I switched to the double bass and there was no turning back. And I really fell for this instrument, and it has a huge impact on how I compose also and how I view music. I was always studying both composition and double bass. And I wasn't so interested in the whole classical approach to the double bass. I mean, it was great, but then I wanted to discover something more, so it was quite late that I sort of fell for metal music. For me personally, what's interesting is metal music that has like good EQ, and I really like it when it feels like you're being pulled into something, like into a deep state of being or into a quite dark core. I find this warm somehow, and I feel it's more of a meditation. And to go into a trance of like repetitive elements definitely is because I have a taste for just dark register. I mean, I love the bass and I really like this type of sound. So it's definitely also through playing with others, improvising with others, and really discovering this depth of at least my instruments, and actually all instruments. I think and I hope that I am on an ever-going journey musically, because otherwise everything would feel quite pointless, wouldn't it? All my pieces, they have changed a lot, of course, and style has changed and interest has changed, and I don't know if you can call it, evolving. It's also maybe just always being fluid. So I'm not sure if I could say it's a development, but it's definitely, taking different directions, for sure. I ask myself, what is it? What is the form? What does it look like? What is the texture? Is it wet or is it greasy? Which are the colors and how do they change, and what changes when you zoom in and zoom out? So with these thoughts that are quite visual, perhaps, I think that has also led me to the importance of music being treated and sound being treated as something alive, as a creature. So it's not something I see as a static state of being. I really want it to be ever flowing, ever going somewhere, or ever moving. It doesn't have to be going from A to B, but it should always be, on a journey somehow. I always use a lot of metal objects. It's not, symbolism in any sense actually, but for this piece, of course, you can really see it as something like quite literal. But this is just my taste, and in this piece, the harp and the piano are the triggerers of the live electronics. And I just think that metal objects really, like when they touch a surface, no matter how it is done, it is often a really interesting triggerer for live electronics. It's just been a huge privilege, to be honest, to work with these people from IRCAM. They have an understanding of what they're supposed to do. We haven't been so much in contact. They are just so professional. It can be quite challenging when you also need to, give comments to the conductor and the ensemble, and because it's harder to have an overall just image or focus of the work when you're also doing something. I think the main challenge this week has been finding a balance between the electronics and the amplification and the ensemble, and one could work for weeks on this. And then I also feel that in my music in particular, the very strong factor in it is a certain level of energy that is often concert energy. So often the pieces don't feel fully alive until in the concert.